Alright everybody, welcome back to Homework Help with Ms. Pittman. For Tuesday night's homework, we're looking at Lesson 7 homework. So we're going to run through these. Hopefully it'll be a little bit faster than Monday night's video, but we shall see. Alright, so number 1 says triangle HJK is enlarged. Okay, enlarged means it's getting bigger by scale factor K to form triangle LMN. The length of side JK is 12 centimeters and the length of the corresponding length MN is 72 centimeters. If the length of the side LM centimeters, what is the length of the corresponding side HJ? So we've got this triangle here, and then we have enlarged it here. So we have triangle HJK. Sorry, my K kind of got a little funny. And we've got the other triangle LMN. And remember that it's important that the order matters, that you follow the order to this, because if it's in the first letter go to are corresponding, second letter are corresponding, third letter is corresponding. So the order matters. All throughout math, order matters. So just make sure you pay attention to that. So it says, so the length of JK is 12 and the length of MN is 72. And it says if the length of LM is 12, what is the side length of this here? So it's real easy to just basically set up a ratio box, in my opinion, to solve for this, because it already tells us they're corresponding. And so, like, I like to think of this as triangle 1 and this is triangle 2. So when I create my ratio boxes, I create it with triangle 1, triangle 2, triangle 1, triangle 2. And so when triangle 1 is 12 inches, its corresponding side here is 72 inches. And when the corresponding side here for triangle 2 is 12, we don't know what it is here. And so then we can just cross multiply and divide, and we should get our answer pretty easily. So x equals whatever the corresponding side is in centimeters. Alright, it says, number 2, a model of the Eiffel Tower is designed by reducing, okay, so we're getting smaller, reducing the dimensions of the actual Eiffel Tower by scale factor K. If the actual Eiffel Tower is actually 330 yards and the model is 30 inches tall, what is the scale factor? So remember, scale factor, we've got the drawing or the model over the actual, okay? And so we want to know if the drawing is 30 inches, okay, and the Eiffel Tower is 330 yards, what does that end up simplifying to? Okay, and I'll let you work that one out and select that. Especially since it's multiple choice, you should be able to get that one pretty easily, I do believe. Okay? Alright, so moving on. Number 3. A length of 4 inches is on the map of Tallulah Gorge State Park. Beautiful state park. If you've never been, you need to go. Represents the actual distance in 3 miles. So 4 inches on the map represents 3 miles in real life. A popular hiking trail at Tallulah Gorge is 12 miles long. How long in inches does the trail appear on the map? Once again, I would ratio box this thing, and I would do the actual distance, or here, let's, for consistency drawing, let's do the map over the actual, map over the actual. And so in the map, it's 4 inches. In real life, it's 3 inches. So, and if real life, if the trail is 12 miles long, how many inches long is it? And it's just a ratio box, cross multiply and divide, and you should be able to do that pretty easily. Alright, triangle DEF is enlarged by a scale factor of 6 to create triangle KLM. The length of side KM is 18 inches. What is the length of this corresponding side DF? So we've got triangle DEF, and is being enlarged to by 6. So, you know, enlarged is being multiplied. It's growing by 6 to triangle KLM. Me and my K's tonight are not working. I'm sorry. KLM. Alright, so if KM is 18 inches, what is DF going to be? And so you know it's going to be smaller, and so we're working backwards. If from going here to here is multiplication, so then the opposite direction would be the opposite of multiplication. So you should do be able to do 18 opposite of times 6 to get x, and that would give you your answer there. If you still don't understand that, let's think logically through this, okay? This triangle, okay, DEF is smaller than KLM. So this side has to be smaller than this side right here. So which one of these can we eliminate that are not smaller? Like this one's not smaller and this one's not smaller. So we've at least narrowed it down to 2 options here. And so we ask ourselves, is 3 times 6 18, or is 12 times 6 18? And that you should be able to answer that question yourself. Okay. All right, moving on. Number 5. Quadrilateral ABCD is reproduced by scale factor K to form quadrilateral JKLM. The length of side CD is 10 meters, and the length of the corresponding side LM is 8 meters. What is the scale factor? So if we're going from the CD to the LM, okay, and we're going from 10 to 8, all right, we want to do 10 over 8. But that would end up simplifying to 5 over 4. But let's think about this for a second. This is greater than a whole number. And if we come back to our notes that we took today, we kept writing over and over again. I passed this already. Okay. We talked about this, that you know, if we are enlarging something, then we're looking for greater than a whole number. But if we're reducing, we want less than a whole number. And so it depends on if we're enlarging or if we're reducing. If we are enlarging, we want the greater to be on top to enlarge. But if we are reducing, we want the smaller number on top. So if we go back to our directions here, we're reducing. So it's getting smaller. So you can see this. It's going from 10 to 8. It's getting smaller. So we want the smaller number on top, and we want the bigger number on bottom so that we get the correct scale factor. And so when we simplify that, we get this scale factor. So which makes more sense? If I take and I do 10 times 5/4, am I going to get 8? Or if I do 10 times 4/5, am I going to get 8? Which one makes more logical sense in that situation? Alright, moving on. It says, use the following information for problems 7 through 10. It says quadrilateral PQRS is enlarged by scale factor K. So it's enlarged meaning it's getting bigger, to form quadrilateral WXYZ. The length of side QR is 7 units, and the length of the corresponding side XY is 21 units. It says find the scale factor. So because we're enlarging, we want the, remember based off of our notes, because we're enlarging, we want the greater to on top in order to enlarge. So we pick the bigger number. We want 21 on top over 7. And so when we simplify that, we end up with 3. So our scale factor is a scale factor of 3. So we can probably going to use this information to further this along. It says, what is the length of P? If the length of PQ is 9 units, what is the length of WX? So you have the option of, because you're enlarging, you can take this side length 9 and just multiply it by 3 and you get 27. Or if you want to think about it as a ratio box, you can do that as well. Okay, you've got the PQRS on top, and you've got WXYZ on the bottom. And so if the QR is 7 and the XY is 21, and if your PQ is 9, what is this going to be? We could cross multiply and divide. We could do 21 times 9 divided by 7, and that's still going to give me the same answer. So either way, you can plug it in, or you can do a ratio box. It doesn't matter what you choose. So you're going to do the same process here. Okay, it says the length of YZ is 15 units. The length of RS is blank units. So now YZ is part of the bigger, the enlarged quadrilateral. So we're working backwards here at this point. So instead of multiplying by 3, we have to think about going in the reverse. And so we would end up being dividing. But let's say that's confusing, you don't remember it. A ratio box, you're not going to go wrong. Okay, if you pick the first quadrilateral, the PQRS quadrilateral over the WXYZ quadrilateral, and it was 7 to 21, okay, and you've got 15 units here, you could solve for the top box here, cross multiplying and dividing. That's why I feel like the ratio box is the best go-to, in my opinion. Because you won't have to figure out if you're multiplying or dividing. The box sets it up for you and tells you which one you're doing. Alright, so make sure you solve that. Pause the video if you need to. Number 10. If the measure of angle Q is 28, the measure of angle X is blank. So remember, when we come back here in our notes, you need to flip back. We talk about it at the very first part of our notes from today. We talk about corresponding angles, and we say that corresponding angles are the same angles that are in the same spot on each shape, and they are the same size. And we have this example here. Angle B is 99 degrees, angle F is 99 degrees. We know they're corresponding because they're located in the same position as in the name, and so all of our angles are going to stay the same. Your angle measurements don't change. The lengths do, but the angle measurements don't. So if Q and X are in the same corresponding spot in the names, then we know they're equal. So if we look, Q is the second letter, X is the second letter, so they're corresponding in the name. So that means 28 degrees is going to be the same measurement for X. Okay? Alright, those should always be easy for you. Alright, I'm not doing number 11 for you. That's pretty easy. What is the least integer solution of the inequality shown? So least means the smallest number. So what I would do to test this out is I would plug in starting with the smallest number to see if it makes it true. I would plug in 5 times negative 8 plus 3. Is that greater than 3 times negative 8? minus 11. And so some of us don't know how to do negative signs in our calculator, so I'm going to show you here. So you can't put this whole thing in your calculator at one time. You've got to put in this side, solve for it, put in this side, solve for it, and see if this statement is true. So we do 5 times, here's your negative button right here, negative 8, close parentheses, plus 3, gives me negative 37. And then this side over here is 3 times negative 8, close parentheses, minus 11, which gives me negative 35. So you have to decide, is negative 37 degrees greater than negative 35 degrees? So think about this as temperatures is basically what it is. Is negative 37 degrees hotter than negative 35 degrees? Okay, and if it's not, move to the next number. Do the same process. Plug in negative 7 to your inequality here until you find one that is a true statement. Alright. Number 13, suppose G represents the greatest common factor of 20 and 25, and M represents the least common multiple of 20 and 25. Write an equation to find the sum of G and M. So greatest common factor of 20 and 25. So, you know, greatest common factor are the numbers that multiply to give you that number. And so if you were to list the factors of 20 and 25, like what are the numbers that you multiply by to get 20? And then what are the numbers you multiply by to get 25? And so the greatest number they have in common, so G equals 5, okay? And so then, and M represents the least common multiple of 20 and 25. And so multiples is where you are, multiplying. So like skip counting. So 20 would be like 20 times 1 is 20, 20 times 2 is 40, 20 times 3 is 60, 20 times 4 is 80, 20 times 5 is 100, and on and on and on. And then you do 25, and it'd be 25 times 1 is 25, 20 times 2 is 50, 25 times 3 is 75, 25 times 4 is 100, and we're looking for the least one they have in common is 100. So if G plus M, okay, G plus M, that's what they want to write an equation to find the sum of G and M. So G plus M is going to equal, well, we have 5 plus 100, which is 105. So there's our equation right there. Okay. All right, and that's it for tonight.